Okay, hey guys. This morning or maybe afternoon, in fact, it's afternoon where I am. So this afternoon, maybe morning or evening where you are, I'm going to be talking about the cause of cancer and all chronic disease. I'm going to be very careful not to be talking about what you should do about that because you can't legally make claims about natural solutions for things like cancer. So we're not going to talk about that. Of course, you can connect with me privately if you want to have that discussion. But today I'm going to be talking about the cause of cancer and chronic diseases. Now, of course, if you have something that's broken, it might be a body, it might be your TV or your car, but you want to fix it, the first thing that you need to be able to do is understand what the problem is, like what the cause of the problem is. Okay, if you don't understand the cause of the problem, it becomes infinitely more difficult to actually fix the problem. So this is why I'm asking this question about the cause of cancer. I'm going to talk about cancer mostly, but the same thing would apply for every other chronic disease because it's very similar mechanisms. Okay, so if you were to get, let's say, breast cancer, for argument's sake, and you go to the doctor and you've had a diagnosis and you ask the doctor what caused this, like why have I got this? Because that is a very reasonable question to ask, right? And you would hope that your doctor would know the answer because he's the one that you're trusting probably to fix this problem. Okay, so you're going to be very disappointed because the doctor is going to give you a very wishy-washy, woolly answer. He's not going to be very specific at all. Maybe he's going to say genes, maybe he's going to say bad luck. He's not going to give you a definitive answer. And you'd be forgiven for believing that must be because it's not known, but it is known. And I'm going to prove to you that it's known. We're going to get to that in just a minute. So if you had gone to your doctor instead of breast cancer or prostate cancer, liver cancer or whatever, if instead you'd gone with lung cancer, you might have got a different answer, a little bit more information, because very often if you go with lung cancer, they're going to ask you, first question they're going to ask you is whether you're a smoker, if they don't already know the answer. And if you are, they're going to say, well, that's probably what's caused your lung cancer. If you're not a smoker, they're going to maybe talk about other things you might have breathed in if you work in certain industries, asbestos or whatever. There's maybe other things that you've breathed in. So now, when the question of tobacco and smoking and lung cancer were originally introduced, it was vehemently denied by the tobacco industry, and it took long battles and eventually court losses before eventually it was accepted that it was causing lung cancer. And of course, now you see that on the cigarette packets around the world that that smoking may cause cancer and so on. So they lost that battle despite defending it and lying about it for a very long time before that. I'm just trying to figure out how to put, they've changed how to put the chat on. So if there's anybody actually messaging me, I'm not seeing it. How do I do that? I figured it. Okay, and nobody has. That's fine. Okay, so I know there's a few people watching, so you can message me. I will see it. So in the case of smoking, then it's been accepted and admitted that the cause is not smoking per se, but the toxins inhaled as the process of smoking that are carcinogenic. Okay, but as soon as you talk about any other kind of cancer, they forget all that, the fact that the lung cancer is caused by carcinogenic toxins, and they have no idea why your breast cancer or prostate cancer or whatever. So, in fact, they do know. Now, maybe your GP or your oncologist, maybe they don't know, but the scientists, the ones investigating cancer, they all know this. And again, I'll come to that in a minute. So, if you go to Google, even Google, which heavily suppresses information, as you know, but if you go to Google and you Google known carcinogenic chemicals, you're going to find out there's a lot more known carcinogens than those that we have in cigarettes. And if you start looking at the list and then studying the individual chemicals, you're going to find that many of those chemicals are in your water, in your food, in your clothes. Your clothes is a giant nicotine patch, except instead of nicotine, it's carcinogenic and neurological and other toxins. You're going to find it being used in things that are being put into your mouth by your dentist, in the medications that you're being given for other symptoms, etc., etc., etc. So we have a massive list of chemicals and radiation as well, which we know about, EMFs and stuff, that we know cause cancer. Now, so this is known. This is known information. This is there. This is available for anybody. Now, if the doctors or the scientists working on finding cures for cancer, which I don't think they're really looking very hard for, to say the least. But anyway, when they're looking for cures, or when they're looking to find out more accurately how their latest chemo or radiation works, whether in its ability to shrink tumours, which it can do. Chemo is quite effective at shrinking tumours. It's not very effective at curing you, but it's not bad at shrinking tumours. So when they're wanting to test out their chemo, they use animals, and they need animals with the various cancers that they want to test it on. They don't just find those animals, they give the animals cancer. Well, if you're giving an animal cancer, it means you know what causes it. You have to know the cause to be able to give an animal cancer. And a lot of people think that what they do is that they inject them with cancer cells, and that's not normally what they do. What they normally do is they inject them with toxins, carcinogenic toxins, known carcinogenic toxins, the very same things that are on your food, that are in your water, that are on your clothes, in your suntan, not suntan lotion, what's it? Oh, the sun, the stuff that stops you getting burnt. Yeah, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So they're in your lipstick, that are in your soaps, that are in so many things. We're being bombarded with chemicals and with EMFs that they know cause cancer, and yet they never talk about when you go with cancer. And part of the reason that they don't talk about that is because they're not going to treat the cause of cancer. In fact, they're going to give you treatments with things that are known to cause cancer. So chemotherapy and radiation, both are carcinogens, serious carcinogens. And they're going to try and convince you that shrinking your tumor by poisoning you and it is the be all and end all, when really it's not, unless it's a consequence of your immune system destroying the cancer. It's not. Okay, so what do these carcinogenic toxins do? Well, one of the things that they do is they acidify, which lowers the oxygen. And that can be in a little region of the body. So when we talk about lowering oxygen, it doesn't mean that your entire body is getting less oxygen. That's a possibility. But normally it means that a region, an area, is getting less oxygen. So the area where these toxins are, for example, because a toxin might not be everywhere in your body, it might just be in your breast. For example, if you're using deodorants under your arm that contain carcinogenic toxins which seep into that area of your breast, as an example. So the toxins being in that area start to reduce the oxygen levels. And once the oxygen levels get decreased to a certain degree, 35% or so, the cells start to struggle to live, right? Just like if somebody gets their hands around your throat and starts to squeeze, your oxygen starts to drop. And once it reaches a certain point, you go into unconsciousness and then death. Same for your cells. So your cells getting less and less oxygen, and they use oxygen to make energy. Okay, so which is called aerobic respiration. So they're using the oxygen as part of the process to make energy, and once they can't make, just like you do, you breathe in oxygen to make energy. So once they're not getting enough oxygen, they get into trouble. But the body is amazing. Okay, God has created us in an amazing way, and the cell, in order to survive, has the ability to switch its method of making energy from using oxygen, aerobic respiration, to anaerobic respiration, which is using fermentation. Okay, so it switches methods. Now, the process of fermentation can make energy, but it's very poor at it compared to what, using the oxygen, aerobic respiration. So it's a poor method, and one of the side effects of the process of fermentation is acidity. So it produces acid waste, so the area becomes more acidic. And as it becomes more acidic, the side effect of that is less oxygen. The side effect of that is more cells dying, and you've got a bit of a vicious cycle going on. So that, in essence, then is the cause. And when I'm talking about cancer, but basically all, whether you're talking fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, and the list is endless, all of them begin with toxicity, which inhibits the body's ability to function correctly and does various types of damage, which end up in various types of symptoms, which are then diagnosed as various diseases. Okay, so I'm not going to spend much time on any of the other diseases, but understand the process is the same. So you've been poisoned, and that's why we've got epidemics of cancer now, and we didn't used to have 500 years ago or even 200 years ago. The poison levels of our world are going up and up and up. We're being more poisoned, and we're seeing more and more chronic symptoms that are a consequence of that. Sadly, our allopathic medicine contributes to the poisoning. You get poisoned, and so they use other poisons to suppress the symptoms. So your symptoms improve typically, but you're more poisoned, so you're actually in a worse state, even though you might feel better temporarily. So this then is the cause of cancer. It's well understood. It's well known. It's just not talked about very much because they're not going to treat the cause. That's why it's not talked about. So unless you go to someone like myself who has an holistic, natural approach where we treat cause, you're not going to hear much of this from your doctors and from the whole system of allopathic medicine. And in fact, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's illegal to make claims about anything natural that's addressing cause having any effect on your health. So you can't say that if you take this herb or this whatever, it can cure cancer. You cannot say that, and I'm not going to say that for that reason, because this video will be taken down, and I potentially could go to prison if I made those kind of statements. So, but I can talk about cause. So there we go. So this is the cause. Now, a secondary part of that problem is, so if the cause is toxins, then the answer would be obvious to get the toxins out of the body, right? Even if you do that, that's not the complete answer, because there's damage that's being done by those toxins, number one. One of the areas of damage is to reduce your body's ability to metabolize nutrients. In other words, even if you're getting 100% of every nutrient that you need in your diet, you will not be able to use part of that. Maybe 50% of those nutrients can't be used because your body has been damaged. So, for example, the cell walls have had oxidation damage, which inhibits its ability to let nutrients and oxygen into the cell, and toxins out, by the way. So the damage done by the toxins also damages your ability to utilize nutrients, which means that everybody who's toxic is also deficient. By default, you're going to be deficient. And as you become deficient in one nutrient, that inhibits your ability to use other nutrients. And it's like a domino effect, dig, 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 dig. And so you end up, with lots of problems. So what you need to do then is remove the toxins, step one. Okay. Step two is you need to have massive amounts of nutrition to deal with the fact that your body's not absorbing nutrition well. And step three, you need to help the body resist the damage that's being done by the levels of toxins in your body until such time as you can get them out. That's a process, of course, and oftentimes the toxins have taken decades to get in, and it's not going to be removed in a month. It's going to take some time, not decades, but some time. Okay, so that is, in a nutshell, the problem. Okay, that's the problem, whether it be cancer or whether it be the thing that's going around at the moment, that one of the things that they do is they like to blame other causes than the real cause. So they like to blame an invisible pathogen, so-called thing for I don't want to I don't want to be I'm going to be careful what I say, but a lot of the time people are getting sick and something's being blamed that isn't the real cause. Let's put it that way. And then that allows them to treat you to kill something that they claim is causing something. It's a really joke that I've got to talk like this. But anyway, hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying. Usually what they claim to be the cause for things, such as what's happening a lot now, is not the real cause. There's other stuff going on. But if you don't know what's causing it, then you can't properly treat it, right? So that leaves you in a mess. So you're actually ending up treating something, treating a cause that doesn't exist, or if it does exist, isn't the cause anyway. And I've just got a message. I just realised that our prescription meds can, right? Yes, they can. They do, Tina. They do contain carcinogenic toxins and other toxins which damage the body. This is why I'm doing a lot with diabetes at the moment, helping people with diabetes. And so you know that they're not treating the cause when the medication that they give you is for life, right? And it has to be increased over time. Then that means they're not treating the cause, right? So as an example, so they do this with every disease, which is why there's no disease in my lifetime. I'm 58, okay, and in my lifetime there's not a single chronic disease that's been cured. All of them are about suppression of symptoms. That's it. I mean, most of the time you're going to be on prescription toxic drugs for life, and many times you're then going to need other prescription toxic drugs to deal with the symptoms created by the toxic drugs that were dealing with the symptoms created by different set of toxins that came into your body. It's a joke, but that's the system that we have, right? So my strong recommendation is that you go to someone who understands cause and is going to treat cause. And first of all, it's very helpful if you understand cause, because then then you're going to be on the right pathway. So anyway, I can't go much further in a public discussion, especially not on Facebook, because I'm going to get myself in hot water. So I'm trying to limit what I say. But the main goal of this video was that I want to express and direct you to the real cause of chronic disease, specifically cancer. My wife had cancer, and what I did was I sat the doctors day one, and I can't really tell you what I did, but she hasn't got cancer anymore. She didn't have cancer 6 months later. Anyway, so we've got to realize that toxins are the primary problem in our health. Okay, that's the big deal, toxins. And then deficiencies are the one under that. And even when it comes to deficiencies, people understand to some degree that they're deficient, and then they go and get supplements which do more damage, because most of the supplements are either synthetic when it comes to vitamins, or when it comes to minerals, they're crushed rocks. And crushed rocks are not a good feed for human beings. We can absorb a tiny part, maybe 5%. The other 95% is gonna be stay in your body, and your body's gonna have to try and excrete it or store it. And over time, as it stores it, you're gonna start having problems. So even with deficiency, even when people understand that, they then feed them a false thing, and then they lie about deficiency. So they have tests which tell you you're deficient, for example, in hormone D that they call vitamin D. And the test is a fraudulent test, and you're not deficient in the first place. And even if you were, what they're giving you as a supplement is not going to help you. So even that is fraught with danger. Anyway, hopefully, guys, you've been educated a little bit about cause. I hope that that's got your mind on the right track to be investigating what is causing that. I've just had someone today asking me about aneurysm. Aneurysm is, again, it's understood pretty well, and it's very fixable. I can't tell you how. Anyway, okay, guys. Hopefully that's given you some food for thought. God bless you all. Have a great day. And if you've got any questions or if you want to connect with me directly, feel free to do that. I've got my Gab address on the bottom of the video. Obviously, if you're watching this on Facebook, you're probably on my page, and you'll be able to connect with me directly through Messenger. I'm on Telegram, etc., etc. So. Thank you, Tina. I'm glad that it helped you. Okay, so I'm gonna close it there. Thanks very much. Bye bye, everybody.